Welcome to our Yoga Wild YouTube channel. My name is Casey. I use the pronoun she, her. And although our studio is currently closed to the public, I am thrilled to be here in Courthouse Square in downtown Tacoma to guide you through your practice. And whether you used to come in to our studio for this class or you are joining us from someplace else or at another time, thank you for taking a little time during your day, carving that out for your practice. And it's become abundantly clear that the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on our way of life is not going away anytime soon. And when we are coping or dealing with long-term stress, that requires endurance. In our physical yoga practice, when we're working through asanas or physical postures, we cultivate tapas, which is heat or intense effort, and svadhyaya, self-study. And when life is hard or you are feeling overwhelmed, these practices can support to help you move through difficult times. So maybe this is your first yoga class ever, maybe you have a regular practice already. Either way, thanks for joining. And feel free to grab some props from your house. So you might have blocks and even a strap. And you can get creative at home. This could be like a long sock or a tie. You could use books or a folded towel. So really whatever might work for you. And we're going to get started on our backs in constructive rest. So come to your back. Keep your knees bent. Bring your feet wide to the edges of your mat and let your knees come together to touch. So that might offer a little release in your low back. Try to keep your gaze up toward the ceiling, and maybe your hands kind of fall out to your sides or they connect to your body. And start to breathe. For those of you that have been in our space, you know that we are in the heart of downtown. We are right next door to the post office that is working very hard. So there may be distractions or sounds. You might have distractions and sounds in your space as well. Distractions can also look like thoughts, worries, all of a sudden remembering everything you forgot to do this morning. And anytime distractions come up, anchor to your breath. Start to pay attention as your belly expands and contracts. Anchor to your body. Really pay attention here. Feel all of the points of contact you have with your mat or the ground. And throughout our practice today, there will be times where we might find a little more effort, where your heart rate might start to get up, your breathing might get faster. And when you notice that, try to drop back or come back to this feeling. Your deep, slow breathing. And take a few more breaths like this. And we'll start to bring some awareness to our core, build some heat in our center first. So point your knees up toward the ceiling, maybe walk your feet in a little bit so your knees are stacked over your ankles. Interlace your fingertips behind your head. Elbows are nice and wide. Chest is open. Inhale here. Exhale, lift your shoulder blades off your mat. Try to keep your elbows wide and think of lifting your chest up. Good. Inhale, lower back down. Exhale, lift. So continue to pulse with your breath. You could stay at a pace with me. Maybe you speed it up or slow it down, but stay connected with your breath. So if you start to lose your breath or hold your breath, maybe take a rest or slow it down. Personally, I think slower is a little bit more challenging. And then pay attention. Draw your navel down toward the ground so you feel your low back nice and long and flat. We're here for about another 3, 2, 1. Relax your head back. Maybe rock your head side to side. You could rock your knees side to side. And we'll move into a little bit of twisting. So inhale, keep your knees up, maybe arms wide. Exhale, drop both knees to your left, maybe even turn your chin toward your right shoulder. Inhale, point your knees back up toward the ceiling. Exhale, drop your knees to the right, maybe chin to your left shoulder. And continue side to side. Know that your knees don't have to touch the ground. Maybe they just drop a little bit. And keep your shoulders anchored into the ground so we're not rolling or lifting up as your knees go side to side. Know that you can stay like this, or if you would like a little bit more core challenge, float your shins parallel to your mat as you inhale. Exhale, drop your knees. And again, keep your shoulder blades grounded. Just like before, you could change up the pace. I invite you to be mindful though, we're not hitting a quantity. There isn't a certain amount we're trying to do. We're not racing through these. It's about sensation. And we'll take a few more each side. So we're focusing on our core, building heat. As I mentioned in the beginning, tapas means heat or intense effort. And it's the discipline that we need to create change or to endure through hardship. And then make your way back to center. If your shins were lifted, you can lower your feet down. Again, maybe take that little side to side just for a release. And we'll do one more set here on our backs. Yogi bicycles. So interlace your fingertips behind your head and lift your shoulder blades away, similar to what we did or how we started. And you can stay here and just add a twist. Think right elbow toward left thigh. Inhale, center. Exhale, left elbow, right thigh. Option 2, float your shins. And as you twist to your left, send your right foot forward. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist to your right, left toes forward. And as you continue to twist, especially if your shins are lifted, try to keep your knees over your hips. So you're bringing your elbow to your thigh. And it might not get there, that's okay. As opposed to bringing your knees in close and kind of that false sense of effort or twist. Notice if you're starting to feel some tension in your neck and jaw. If you need to take a moment to rest and join back in, feel free to do so at any time. Our abdominals are short, dense muscles, so they fire up quick, but they release quick too. Take a couple more rounds each side. You're extending your foot forward. Really get active like you were pressing something away. And then we'll meet in center. This time it might feel nice to just draw your knees into your chest. You could add a little rock side to side. And then we will meet in a comfortable seat. So a couple of options. You could roll to your side and just press up, or maybe add a little rock and roll. And the rock and roll is an opportunity to get a little compression along your spine. And again, if that doesn't feel good, just roll to your side and we will meet cross-legged in a comfortable seat. So if you have a chair, feel free to sit in a chair. We will be seated for a little bit. Option even to just place a block or a towel under your sit bones. So having that little bit of height can help keep your low back nice and long. Relax your hands on your legs. Close your eyes or gaze down, soft gaze. And just notice your breath. Notice what it feels like to start to build a little heat. Maybe your heart rate started to speed up. Just pay attention. Drop into the role of a witness or an observer. So you're not judging what happened. We're not critiquing. And this is svadhyaya. This is self-study. Instead of getting carried away by distractions or thoughts, you just witness, observe your experience, few more breaths here. And then open your eyes. We're going to target kind of our shoulders, chest, upper back a little bit. So know that you can shift your legs or your seat at any time that you may like. And we'll start with eagle arms. So sweep your left arm under your right. I will mirror you. And as you sweep under, it's like you're stacking your right elbow on top of your left. From here, you might, and I'll kind of turn profile so you can see, you might bring the backs of your palms together or maybe palm to palm touch. And if that doesn't work in your body, you can just kind of find a half hug, almost like a bear hug. As you take a little time here, try to bring your hands away from your face. This is a great place to stay. So if you're feeling a lot of sensation already, stay here. Otherwise, start to add a little flossing in your shoulders or a little pulse. So you're sending your fingertips straight up and then drawing your elbows into your chest. And as you start to move, notice your breath. If you start to hold your breath or it gets really rapid, that's your body telling you maybe to peel back. And take a few more here. Then go ahead and release your arms. You can shake them out. And we'll take that on the other side. So sweep your right arm under your left. Find the stack in your elbows, and then the backs of your palms might connect, or you might get a little wrap. And if you're really trying to force the wrap and you're kind of rounding in, then just take this half hug. This is a really great option as well. And again, keep your tall spine, navel up and in. Like this is active in your core just to sit here. And you could start to add the pulse with your elbows, whatever shape you're in. And then just notice sensation. So I really feel this through the back and top of my shoulders. I'm also feeling a lot through the sides of my body. I feel effort in my solar plexus, the center of my abdomen. And just notice where you feel sensation. All right. And then go ahead and shake that out. Open your arms. We'll move into a gentle twist. So you can bring your left hand to your right thigh and then bring your right fingertips behind you. And when you find this gentle twist, stay rooted in your sit bones, whether you're on the ground or a block. Your backhand is kind of like a kickstand and just gentle. So you're not forcing your body someplace it's not quite warm or ready for. Just gently start to draw your shoulder blades together, open your chest. You can keep your gaze forward or start to work your chin over your back shoulder. Take one more full breath here. And then come back to center. Before we take the other side, go ahead and switch the cross of your legs. So bring the opposite shin in front. And maybe you had your legs extended and that's fine. We'll take the twist the other direction. Bring your right hand to your left thigh and draw your shoulder blades together. So when we're talking about twisting, which we'll do some more throughout our class, it's not just kind of forcing this turn in your body. It's using the strength of your upper back, really expand your chest, and then maybe turn your chin over your back shoulder. And then notice sensation here. Go ahead and turn back to center. Before we move from our seat, I'm just turning to the side. We're going to do a little lift in the chest. So maybe bring your hands to your mat behind your hips and feel your shoulder points really open wide as you lift your chest up. Maybe even start to work your palms down to your mat. You could add a little bend in your elbows. Really feel your shoulder blades draw together as you lift your chest up. So if your palms are flat, you could add a little press. And I feel a big stretch in front of my shoulders here. You could even turn your gaze up toward the ceiling. And then slowly use your core strength to start to lift your chest up. And you can shake out your wrists, maybe some circles, and we'll meet in tabletop. So come to your hands and knees, and we will be here for just a little bit. So especially if you're on a hard surface, I encourage you to place a blanket under your knees, and you can always just fold up your mat. Stack your wrists under your shoulders, stack your knees under your hips, and just take a moment in tabletop to find a neutral spine. So for me to bring my spine to neutral, so without a curve or a round, I have to draw my belly up and in, a little activity. And remember when we were on our backs and you were pressing your low back into your mat, it's that same sensation, just almost in reverse. And you could choose to tuck your toes under. In my body, I get a little extra stretch through the soles of my feet. That feels good. But if the tops of your feet are on your mat, that's fine too. Inhale, cow pose. So let your belly just hang down to your mat, as close to your mat as possible. As you get this big arch in your back, start to lift the crown of your head up. And breathe here for a little bit. Open your chest, so similar to what we just did seated. Send your shoulder points wide. Inhale. Exhale, cat pose. Tuck your chin to your chest. So draw your navel, your belly button way up away from your mat as you tuck your chin in. And you'll feel your shoulder blades kind of spread wide. You're getting a big stretch into that space. And if you tuck your chin into your chest, you might even feel a stretch through the back of your neck. Now we're going to put those poses together, breath to movement. Inhale, cow pose. Stretch the front line of your body. Exhale, cat pose. And continue with your breath to kind of go through these postures. And keep your attention on your belly. Notice when you feel that release, when you let it hang. Notice when it's really active and you're drawing your belly button up and away. And then make your way back to tabletop. Send your left toes to the back of your mat. And keep your toes connected so they're tucked under. And just take a little rock forward and back. And you can really press into your left big toe. You can really press into your palms. Look for a stretch through the back of your left leg. And then stack your shoulders over your wrists and lift your left heel. As you lift your left heel, keep your tabletop spine. So try to avoid, again, that kind of arch or the rounding. Draw your navel up and in. This is a great place to stay. Or for a little more core challenge, you could tent your right hand so you come up to your fingertips. See what that feels like. Or you could reach your fingertips forward to the front of your space. Bring your bicep by your ear and your right thumb points up to the ceiling. And we're here for a few breaths. Notice if you start to hold your breath. Know that you could always layer out at any time. You're not stuck. And then as slow as you can, lower your left knee down. Maybe a little sway side to side in your hips or some circles. We'll take that on the other side. Send your right toes to the back of your mat. Find the rock forward and back. And if this is starting to be too much on your wrists or your hands, you could always come to fists. So it's like you're bringing the flat part of your fist to your mat. Or you could place your hands on blocks or books. Then find stillness and pick up your right heel. Take our time to layer in, really active through your right leg. And your right knee and toes are pointing down toward your mat. Draw your navel up and in. Spine is long, neck is long. This is a great place to stay, or you can start to get light in your left hand. And it's almost like you're making a little tent with your hand. Stay here or reach your left fingertips toward the front of your space. And it's okay to kind of wobble and fall out. Just get back in at any layer. And if you do find this challenging or you kind of keep falling out, notice how you talk to yourself. So we're not going to go into critique or judgment. Try to stay in that place of observer or witness. And then slowly lower your hand and knee down. And again, any circles. Child's pose, balasana. Extended child's pose, allow your knees to come wide to the edges of your mat and then bring your forehead down. So you could pillow your forehead on your hands. If you have a pillow or block, sometimes a little height, you could always reach your fingertips forward and really spread your 10 fingers wide. And if you live in a tight body, it might feel better to keep your hips high and just bring more weight into your forearms. So every posture that we do in class can look so many different ways. There isn't one way to do every pose. So don't get too caught up in trying to do everything right. And really let this class, this practice be about observing, witnessing your body, self-study, about finding heat and effort to get through difficult transitions, difficult poses. And then we'll make our way to downward facing dog. So tuck your toes under, lift your hips up and back. So downward facing dog, you create this inverted V shape in your body and feel free to bend your knees as much as you need. And again, if you have tight hamstrings, a little wider stance with your feet might feel nice. And I like to move around a little bit so you can bend and straighten one leg, sway your hips. And we'll be in this first downward facing dog for about 5 to 7 more breaths. So at any time, if you'd like to lower your knees down, give your wrists a little shake, feel free. So when we're in longer holds in our yoga postures, it's a great opportunity to build some physical and emotional endurance. When you find ways to breathe without suffering or forcing anything to get through something challenging, it can be rewarding. And then gaze to your hands, bend your knees, and slowly walk your feet to your hands. We'll hang out in ragdoll, our first forward fold, for a little bit. So I encourage you to take a wider base with your feet. And maybe you have a little turn in or turn out, that's fine. If it's pretty significant, try to bring your feet a little bit more to parallel. From here, I keep a bend in my knees. So we want to avoid straining the backs of your legs. So a bend may work for you as well. You could bring blocks under your hands. So you're bringing the ground up to you a little bit. But let this first one really feel like a release, like you're not holding on to anything. You're just letting go to gravity. You could even box out your arms, maybe add a little sway or movement. Then lower your fingertips to your mat. Bend your knees as much as you need to do so. Tuck your chin to your chest, and you're slowly going to roll up to stand. So think of pressing through your heels. Keep your gaze down. It's like your hands are heavy. And roll up one vertebra at a time. Eventually, when you do come to standing, it might feel nice to kind of roll out your shoulders a little bit and roll out your neck. And then press your palms together at the center of your heart. You could choose to keep a little wider stance with your feet, or maybe bring your feet closer together, whatever feels better for you. I like my feet a little wider. And as you press your palms together at heart center, an active press, open your chest, lengthen the back of your neck. Take a moment to close your eyes or gaze at your fingertips. We've taken a little time in class today to move and breathe and kind of feel around. Now take a moment to set an intention for the rest of your practice, maybe even the rest of your day. Maybe you feel aligned with this idea of tapas, heat and inner effort. Maybe svadhyaya is what you need a little bit more of right now, self-study. But find what resonates with you. Inhale, fill up. Open mouth, exhale, send out your breath. Inhale through your nose. This time, seal your lips. Exhale through your nose. Take one more breath like that here. Inhale. Ujjayi, exhale. Open your eyes. So Ujjayi breathing or pranayama is a common breath in our yoga practice. And you'll start to feel a little constriction in your throat as you breathe in and out through your nose. It's sometimes called ocean breathing, and I think that's a great metaphor because eventually your breath can sound like waves of the ocean. So I invite you to maintain that breath throughout your practice. If it doesn't feel comfortable in your body or it actually increases some anxiety, then just breathe and open your mouth. Breathe normal. Yeah. We're going to do a little bit of the arm work we did seated standing. So sweep your left arm under your right, just like we did earlier. And maybe you're in this half hug. Maybe your palms or back of palms touch. And a little wider stance might offer some stability, and you can keep a little bend in your knees because we're going to add, as you inhale, start to lift your chest. And maybe even start to point your elbows up toward the ceiling. As you exhale, draw your elbows into your chest, find a little round. We'll take that a couple more times. Inhale, point your elbows up. Think cow spine when we are on our hands and knees. Exhale, draw your elbows in, more like cat spine. One more, inhale, point your elbows up, big stretch. Exhale. Inhale, unwind your arms, sweep both hands up toward the ceiling. And exhale, switch sides. Bring your right arm under your left. And standing, you might be able to use a little bit more momentum to get that cross or half hug. And be mindful of your legs. So your foundation needs to be really stable before we can kind of add on these extras with the arms. And inhale, lift your chest, point your elbows up, whatever shape your arms are in. Exhale, draw your elbows into your chest and round your back. Inhale, reach up, point up. Exhale. One more. Inhale, unwind your arms, stretch up. Exhale, lower your hands to about shoulder height and your palms face into your midline. Point your thumbs up toward the ceiling. Inhale here. Exhale, open arm twist to your right. And notice what happens in your hips. So if you feel your hips open and you get this big wide twist, you might not be feeling a lot of sensation, not exactly what we're going for. So try to keep your hips facing the front of your space and open your chest. And that's okay if you don't get as wide. It's not about the destination. Can you just be in this twist, be in this sensation on this side? Inhale, back to center, sweep your right hand forward. Exhale, twist to your left. And again, being mindful, you might have to actively draw the right hip back a little bit so everything doesn't open to the left. And don't worry so much about how far or how big the twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, open to your right. Inhale. Exhale, moving with your breath. Inhale. Exhale, can you reach forward with your left hand? Get a little more space. Inhale. Exhale, reach forward with your right hand, lengthen. Inhale. Exhale, drop your hands down. Now we're gonna add on that heart opener like we did seated. So chest expansion, option 2, interlace your fingertips behind your back. And this can be asking a lot of your shoulders. So that's where a strap or just a dish towel, something long can be handy. And you can find your grip behind your back and just have some space between your hands. So instead of them being close together, and then feel stable in your foundation, maybe a little bend in your knees. Take a big shoulder roll. So it's like you're sending your shoulders up, back, and down, and start to lift your chest. Now we're gonna take a little bigger transition here. We're gonna take this arm bind all the way into a forward fold. So take it slow. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, start to fold. Lead with your heart. Bend your knees. And as you fold, let your knuckles point up to the ceiling. And once you get here, if that feels like way too much pressure in your shoulders, just release your grip and you can bring your hands to your low back, point your elbows up toward the ceiling, or just let your hands hang and enjoy a forward fold. So pay attention to your body, what it needs today. Inhale. Exhale, slowly lower your hands down to your mat. You can set whatever prop you are using off to the side. Inhale, halfway lift. So hands can come to shins. Blocks can be really nice here. Think tabletop spine. Exhale, forward fold. 2 more like that. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. This time, as you exhale, step your left foot back. And take a big, long stride, and then lower your left knee down. I like to keep props on the outside of my front foot, so you might find that helpful as well. And we'll be here for just a little bit. So again, if you want to add some cushion under your back knee, you can start to add a little movement forward and back, maybe sway your hips side to side. We're just going to take a moment to warm up and prepare our legs before we get into some standing postures. And be mindful of your stance. So if your feet are really close together, you might not be feeling much, and you can kind of move around here. So if you're not feeling anything, then I really encourage you to kind of inch your left knee back and sink into your hips. And when I do this stretch, I feel a big stretch on the inside of my legs, my adductor muscles in front of my left hip flexor. So just witness where you feel it. And from here, we'll shift to half splits. So again, I like to kind of use props with me as you straighten your front leg. And by straighten, if there's a little bend in your knee, that's perfectly fine. Like, don't lock it out or force it straight. And think of flexing your right toes up toward the ceiling. From here, you can start to fold over your right leg. I feel a huge stretch on the underside of my right leg, so you might feel that too. But if you live in a bendy body and this just isn't really enough, you could always sink your hips back a little bit more. You could crawl your hands out, maybe past your right foot. And an excellent way to just add on a little bit more is to tuck your chin in tight to your chest. All the while breathing, whatever sensation you're in, whatever your posture looks like, it does not have to look like mine. Then bend back into your right knee. And before we come back to a forward fold and switch sides, kind of crawl your right foot a little bit more off toward the right edge of your mat. Base your left hand on a block or on the ground. Bring your right hand to your right thigh and start to add a little twist open to the right. And try to think of the twist that we did earlier in class. We weren't really like forcing it, but use your upper back strength, open your chest. And your gaze can be down, out, or up. Notice how this might feel different than the first lunge. Then slowly make your way out. In all of our postures, try to avoid just kind of collapsing or falling out. You could bring your right foot into center, crawl your left knee up, and however you make it back to a forward fold, that's where we will meet. And take a moment in your forward fold to just notice how one side feels compared to the other. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step your right foot back. And again, taking a long stride here from the start before you lower your right knee might just set you up. If you are finding that your stance is really close, bring your hands to some props and work your right knee back a little bit. And then you can move around here. So tapas and svadhyaya, heat and self-study, really need each other. So heat is the action. And action without study, without observation, without paying attention to your body could lead to injury. And even off your mat, it could lead to harm to others. And the other way around, if we just stay caught up in our thoughts and our observations without acting, we won't get very far. And then make your slow shift to half splits, Ardha Hanumanasana. Straighten your left leg, flex your left toes up toward the ceiling. And try to let go of expectation that one side should feel the same as the other. We're really asymmetric beings. So we have repetitive motion, we sleep on one side. It's just more than likely it won't feel the same. So take the layer that feels right for you on this side. Maybe that means sinking your hips back. And if you can't go all the way back, you could always just place a prop or a pillow or a block under your hip. So you're getting maybe more stretch, but with support. And then draw your left hip back a little bit. Flex your toes back toward your left shin. Maybe even tuck your chin into your chest. Breathe. From here, bend back into your left knee and start to kind of inch your left foot over toward the left edge of your mat. Now base your right hand on a block or the ground, left hand to left thigh, and start to twist your chest open toward the left side of your space. And you could always add just a little bit of movement, especially if you live in a tight body. Movement might feel nice. It helps to lubricate the joints. And then we'll meet in a forward fold. Bring your left foot back to center. Pick up your right knee, big step up. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step your left foot back. We'll set up for Warrior Two, Virabhadrasana 2. So spiral your left foot flat. And if you look at your back foot, see your arch lift away from the mat. So we're not collapsing or rolling inward. You're really pressing through the outer edge. Keep your right knee in line with your right toes and then start to lift your chest. And your hips and chest and shoulders are going to be open to the left side of your space. Send your arms wide. And really draw your shoulder blades together, open in your chest, bend into your front knee. Know that you can stay here. You could bring your hands to your hips. You could add a little pulse or movement, whatever feels good for you. Inhale. Exhale, come back to your forward fold. Bring your hands to blocks or your mat and step your left foot up. And that might take 2 or 3 steps, and that's fine. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step your right foot back. So take your big long stride here. Lower your right foot down and lift your chest. So Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2, take a wide stance. Bend your left knee. It's tracking in line with your toes. Avoid collapsing in your back foot. So really press through the outer edge and then sink in. We're just here for a couple more breaths. Maybe you feel a big stretch on the inseam of your legs. Be mindful that that's not pulling your front knee in. Try to keep it open, more toward the pinky toe side of your front foot. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Bring your hands down. Step your back foot up. So that was Warrior 2. I like to do Warrior 2 first before Warrior 1. You don't have to go in chronological order, but it just helps to prepare my hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step your left foot back. So to set up for Warrior 1, your feet, your base are going to look different. Your left toes are at an angle. If 45 degrees works in your mind, that's a nice option. Otherwise, just point your left toes to the left corner of your space. Keep the bend in your front knee and start to lift your chest. As you lift your chest, your hands can come to your hips, or you can start to reach your fingertips forward. Press through your back foot, engage your back leg. This is a great place to stay, or send your fingertips toward the front of our space. We're going to add our open arm twist. Inhale. Exhale, sweep your right hand back. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, come back. Warrior 1, lift your hands up. Exhale, hands to your blocks or down to your mat and step your left foot up. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step your right foot back. So take time here. Really set up your foundation before we try to build on something unstable. Press through the outer edge of your right foot, bend your left knee, and then lift your chest. So in Virabhadrasana 1, your hips and shoulders are facing the front of the space. In Warrior 2, we were opening. This time we were closing. And this is harder for me. So if it feels harder for you, then that's okay. A little wider stance can help maybe get your hips and shoulders facing forward. And then any variation with your arms. Bend into your front knee. Feel free to stay here, whatever that looks like, or reach your fingertips forward. Inhale. Exhale, sweep your left hand back. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, back to Warrior 1. Exhale, fold. Bring your hands to your blocks. Step your back foot in. You can shake it out. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, stand tall, reach your hands high. Exhale, hands to your heart. So we're going to move into a balancing posture, into Eagle Pose Garudasana. This is one of my favorite postures, but it's really challenging. I wobble or fall out all the time. So if you'd like to be near a chair or even a wall, that can be helpful. And we're going to do the eagle arms like we did earlier. So inhale, reach your hands up. Exhale, sweep your left arm under your right. And just like you had all those options before, take what feels good here. Now try this. Pick your left knee up and try to bring it up as high as you can. Like you could tap your left knee and then cross your leg over. As you cross, your left toes could kind of kickstand outside your right foot. Maybe they tuck behind your calf as you start to bend into your knees. And as you bend into your knees might want to pull to the corner of the room. That makes sense. Draw your left hip back, bring yourself back to center. And know that figure 4, ankle on thigh, is a really nice option if you're feeling any kind of torque or discomfort in your knees or ankles. Sink just a little deeper. You can always change your arms for the last little bit. We're here for 3. You're going to unwind and stand tall in 2. 1, inhale, both feet down, reach your hands up. Exhale, other side. Stick your right arm under your left, find your bind first. And I'll turn profile on this one so you can see. As you balance on your left leg, pick your right knee up as high as you can, and then find your cross. So you're on a different side. It doesn't have to look like it did before. Maybe figure 4, maybe tuck behind, and then start to bend in. And again, if you feel your knees pointing or drawing to the corner, draw your right hip back as you sink in. Now use your core strength. Draw your belly button in. Press down through your left heel. Try to balance here. Find a drishti or gazing point, eye level or slightly above. We're here for 3. You've got it. Stand tall. Take up space in 2. 1. Inhale. Reach your hands up, up, up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Go ahead and turn sideways on your mat. We'll do one last kind of hamstring and shoulder stretch, and then we'll move on to our mat. So a wide-legged stance. Your feet are parallel, or you could turn your toes in just slightly. From here, you can interlace your fingertips behind your back. Maybe you find the strap or your prop to find that clasp like we did earlier. Inhale, lift your chest so your knuckles chase down toward the ground. Exhale, fold. Just like we did earlier, take it slow. A little bend in your knees, lead with your heart, and then send your knuckles toward the ceiling. And you can adjust the stance of your feet. You can always lower your fingertips down, so don't feel stuck. And if you live in a tight body, a wider stance with your feet might serve. That might feel counterintuitive. And if you're not feeling much, a little closer stance with your feet. Notice if you're rocking all the weight back into your heels. Try to stay nice and even through your feet. Maybe even bring your hands in line or reach your knuckles up just a little higher. Slowly lower your hands down. Bring your hands to your hips. Point your elbows to the ceiling. Inhale, lift up with a flat back. Exhale, come to standing at the top of your mat. Take a moment, Samasthiti equal standing pose. Hands at heart center. Press, press, press your palms together. Close your eyes or gaze at your fingertips. Come back to your intention. Come back to your breath. Notice any shifts in your body. Notice any shifts in your mood. And come from this place of study without judgment or critique. Just notice. Inhale, reach your hands high. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, have a seat. So we're going to play just a little bit in Navasana or boat pose, so a little bit more work for the core. When we're talking about tapas or heat or intense effort, the core comes into play a lot. So lots of options for Navasana. Point your knees up to the ceiling. Hands can stay on your shins or under your thighs. And really be mindful of your spine. So avoid kind of rounding or collapsing. Draw your navel up and in. Find the long spine and kind of send your chest through. So we've worked on this throughout our class. This is a great place to stay. Option even to start to lift your shins a little bit more parallel to your mat. But don't float your feet at the expense of your spine. So nice and long. This is a great place to be, and maybe even start to open your arms out wide. Now, find a drishti or gazing point. Lift your chest up. Maybe you're starting to feel a little tremor or shake in your body. I feel that too. And just for fun, try to get a little longer and lower. Try to get longer and lower. And know that you could always bring your hands and forearms down for support. And as slow as you can, make your way onto your back. Nicely done. Bend your knees, walk your heels in, add a little rock side to side. Reclined half pigeon, point your knees up to the ceiling and place your right ankle on your left thigh. Flex your foot and open your knees. So you create this kind of figure four shape with your legs. This is a great place to stay, or float your left shin. And just be mindful of your right knee. We want it to kind of stay open. You could add a gentle press. Maybe even grab under your left thigh and start to draw it in. So especially in these postures where we have lots of layers, lots of options, try to avoid thinking that your body needs to look a certain way or forcing it there. So if in order to bring your chin in, you're like rounding up to meet, then just kind of peel out a little bit. Keep your spine long, the back of your head grounded, maybe a little bicep strength to draw in. And then lower both feet down. We'll take that on the other side. Bring your left ankle to your right thigh. Flex your foot, open your knee. And then take time here, just like on the first side, to just kind of feel things out. Slowly start to layer up. If you'd like to lift your shin, open your left knee. And your lifted foot stays flexed, both of your feet, if they're both lifted. And that just helps to kind of protect your joints. So staying active with your feet. Maybe even drawing in and breathe. Just like our other poses, if it feels good to add a little movement or sway, you can. And slowly lower both feet back down. So we'll move into bridge pose. And if you're kind of feeling just fatigued, part of this idea of emotional and physical endurance is that svadhyaya, recognizing, studying where your body is at and not forcing it into something. So if you are feeling kind of fatigued and done, sliding something under your low back, just adding a little lift. That could look like a pillow. I like something a little bit more firm, but a book might be too hard. So a folded towel, but get creative, and you can play with the height and stay as you are. If you know you're wanting something a little bit more active, walk your heels in close to your seat, and your feet aren't touching. There is a space between your feet. Knees stay pointed up. Try to keep your gaze up and just listen for me instead of looking while you're in it, and lift your hips. So really press through your heels to bring your hips straight up toward the ceiling, and then start to find a little walk, like you're bringing your shoulder blades closer together. From here, you could find that bind like we had done throughout class, chest expansion. I really like robot arms, so press down, down, down through the backs of your arms, and think of driving your hips up past your fingertips. And we're here for a few more breaths, so see what you need to sustain. And if you're feeling your knees kind of splay wide, activate your inner thighs, keep them stacked over your ankles. Can you get just a little higher for 3, 2, 1? Slowly lower down. Constructive rest. Bring your knees to touch, feet wide. You can relax your hands by your side or connect to your body. We're just taking a few moments with our hips in an internal rotation to counter the back bend we just did. And then Supta Baddha Konasana. So bring the soles of your feet together. This is reclined bound angle, and let your knees open wide. And that might be asking a lot of your legs. And if you're starting to feel a shake or a pull, having a little support under your legs can be nice. And if this just isn't working for you, even with the props, then just return to constructive rest with your knees touching, so the opposite direction. And then take a little time here to drop back in. It's important to move our body. Our physical practice can do so much for us, but we gain just as much, if not more, from stillness. We can learn more, or just as much from stillness. Observe where your thoughts go, what distractions you tend to cling to or get pulled away by most. Maybe it's sound, maybe it's thought, maybe it's sensation. From here, help your knees point back up toward the ceiling. We'll move into a twist. Draw your right knee into your armpit. So not just crunching in front of your belly, coming off to the side a little bit. You can keep your left knee bent or extend your left leg long. If you extend it long, try to keep it pretty active. Your bicep strength is drawing your knee in, but try to soften your hips. From here, cross your right knee over to the left side. You could extend your right arm long. So many options for how this twist can look, and can look similar to the beginning of our class, where you stack your knees, maybe left leg is straight, right leg bent, all the while both shoulders stay grounded. And then draw your right knee back up and in, give it a little squeeze, and we'll switch sides. Left knee comes in. Again, your other leg can stay bent or it can be extended. And then find your twist as you bring your left knee over to the right. You can kind of shimmy your right hip under your left. Make any adjustments that you need for this side. Maybe turn your chin toward your left shoulder. And as we're taking time to cool down the body, to come back to your long, slow, deep breaths. Recognize the impact of your practice on your mood, on your energy, how you feel now. Just notice the shifts. And then draw your left knee back in, give it a little squeeze, maybe both legs. You can give your legs a hug. And then find your way into Shavasana, or your final resting pose. So you can extend your legs long, arms can kind of splay out. If you're feeling any kind of pain in your low back, coming back to constructive rest, this is a great place to come. And I encourage you to stay here for as long as you can, maybe as long as it gets a little uncomfortable. See if you can endure and stay here, maybe even press pause. I will go ahead and guide us out. Post office is loading up and it's getting pretty active, so all of that sound might just be distracting even more. So as you make your way to a tall seat, notice your breath. Press your palms together at your heart, and you could close your eyes or just find a soft gaze. Remember, it's the choices you make that define who you are far more than your abilities. Thank you for choosing to practice your yoga. Lift your thumbs to the center of your forehead, your third eye, and we will close with one final collective breath. Inhale. Exhale. Thank you all so much. Again, my name is Casey, and we are Yoga Wild. We are a yoga company in Tacoma, Washington. So thanks for watching wherever you are, whatever time of day it is where you are. And if you enjoyed this class, please share it or give it a like. If there's anything that you're looking for our upcoming beginner classes, feel free to put it in the comments below. Thank you.